Thank you for joining us today. Should we start off with introductions? I think as our new guest, let's start with yourself.
Hi, my name's Johnson Lill. I am the Bowel Cancer Screening Improvement Lead for the Manchester Bowel Cancer Screening Programme. My role involves increasing uptake to bowel screening and addressing some of the health inequalities associated with the screening programme. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Yeah, no problem. It's a pleasure to have you. And Sister Ghazala, would you like to reintroduce yourself?
Hi, yes, Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Ghazala Chowdhury and I'm the Community Engagement and Development Lead for the Answer Cancer Programme. So Answer Cancer is the Greater Manchester Cancer Screening Programme. And what we look at doing is raising awareness about cancer screening and some of the signs and symptoms associated with certain cancers, bowel cancer, breast cancer and cervical cancer.
So yeah, to start off with, could you tell us a bit more about the screening and about bowel cancer?
Yeah, so the Bowel Cancer Screening Programme was first introduced in 2016, initially for people aged 60 to 69. And since then it's become a screening programme open to more and more people. So quite recently we've reduced the age range for people aged between 50 and 74-year-olds. So from next year, anyone aged from 50 to 74, they'll receive one of these bowel screening kits through the post every 2 years. And the kit's really simple, very hygienic and easy to do. It's a home test kit. It comes through the post, and we encourage people to complete the kit at home. Really, really simple test kit. All you do, you go to the toilet, and
We've got two kits here, haven't we?
yeah, so let me show you so this is how the kit comes through. It just comes through the letterbox just like that. It's got your name on there, and you open up and there's some simple instructions on how to complete the kit. You also get a letter as well, just giving you further instructions about what the screening programme is and how to complete the kit. You also get a prepaid envelope as well. So once you've done the kit, you just put it into the envelope and post it into the post box, and that will go back to our screening hub, which will analyse the test kit itself. This is the actual test kit. So again, very small and simple. You just unclick it, and on the end you can see there's a few grooves on the end, and all you need to do is just dip that into your poo. You don't need a lot of the sample, you only need a very, very small amount, and once you've dipped it in, you take it back out, put it back into the test kit, seal it, and then you just pop it into your envelope, and off it goes into the post. It will probably get to us in maybe 1 or 2 days. Usually it takes around 7 days for us to analyse the results and get the kit sent back, get the results sent back to you, which will come back in a post via letter. And the letter will simply tell you whether the test is positive or negative. Now, if it's negative, it means there's no blood has been detected in your sample, which is really good news. That's exactly what we want. If it's come back positive, it's not necessarily a cancer diagnosis. It's nothing really to worry about. It's just found that there's blood in your stool sample. That blood could be anything. It could be hemorrhoids, piles, it could be bleeding gums, for example. So once you've received the positive, you'll get a letter which details your appointment with one of our screening nurses, and that appointment usually takes place either on the telephone or a face-to-face appointment. The appointment's around about 45 minutes in total, and during that appointment we'll ask some questions about the individual's health and to assess whether they're safe enough and they're fit enough to go on for what we call a colonoscopy procedure. So colonoscopy procedure is a camera up your bottom, and it goes into your bowels, and from the camera we can have a good look inside your bowels to see if there's anything there that we need to do something about. What I would say is that 2 out of 100 people that complete the kit, only 2 of them will actually receive a positive sample. So, 98 out of 100 will come back as a negative, a clear sample. So There's not a huge number of people that go on for a colonoscopy procedure, but obviously if they do need to go for one, it is a NHS gold standard service. What we mean by that, we have the best consultants within our screening programme. All our nurses have to undertake an extra year's worth of qualification, and even the consultants themselves, they have to take over 1,000 colonoscopies before they can actually be working within our screening programme. So this kind of highlights some of the safety issues that we take to ensure that people are well looked after when they come through our screening programme.
Right. So how can ignoring early signs of bowel cancer be a silent killer? And what symptoms should everyone be aware of?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the second question there. Symptoms to bowel cancer is something that people really need to be aware of. So if when you go to the toilet, if you find there's blood in the toilet after you've gone for a poo, or if you've just generally gone to the toilet and you've seen blood in the toilet, if you've lost loads of weight, if you've had a lot of constipation, if you've got diarrhea, any of these symptoms, especially if they've been if you've been having them for more than 3 weeks, really, really important that you go and see your GP, and they will get you assessed a lot quicker than the screening programme. So it's a lot faster referral process, and that referral process is very similar to the bowel cancer screening programme. You'll get referred for an investigation, and when you go to the GP with symptoms, they can offer you different types of procedures, investigations. So they can do the colonoscopy, which is usually for people who are well and fit. If they're not, then sometimes we can offer them a CT scan. So again, that's just a scan of your bowels, just to see if we can see anything in there that might need addressing. If we do see anything with a CT scan, then often we would still have to use the colonoscopy procedure to get inside there. To remove to remove something in the bowels that shouldn't be in there. There's also something called a pill cam as well, so people can actually swallow a pill that's got a camera in it, and that goes through your bowels, and it again takes pictures. And it's a simpler way to look at your bowels. But again, if the camera does find anything, then we would have to use the colonoscopy procedure. That is the only procedure really that actually can get into the bowels. And when they're looking into the bowels, they're trying to identify something what we call as polyps. So these polyps are very, very small. They grow on the inside of your bowels, and if you leave them long enough, then they can turn into cancerous cells, eventually into tumours, and it can take around about 10 to 15 years for that to actually happen. So that's why the bowel cancer screening programme is a preventative screening programme, helps to identify things many years ahead of us, so it gives us a better chance of having really successful treatment, and for the individual as well, it gives them a good chance of making a full recovery, and statistics show at the moment if we can diagnose particularly bowel cancer at an early stage, so that stages 1 and 2, people can have up to a 90% chance of surviving more than 5 years or more. If you compare that to a later stage, so if we get diagnosed at a stage 3 or stage 4, that reduces massively down to 10% sometimes. So,
and I think that's probably one of the reasons why we do the whole awareness raising, is just to encourage people that when that kit comes to you through the post, don't ignore it, don't just leave it on your mantelpiece, get the kit done and get it sent back. And there's different ways in which you can do the kit. Some people are sort of put off by the idea of having to sort of handle the poo or whatever, so what we suggest is that you can get an old plastic tub, pop some toilet paper in it, put it into the toilet, do your business, and then get your sample that way. Then the toilet tissue can just go into the toilet, you can flush that way, and the tub can go into the dustbin. And there's a lot of, I think, barriers of why people don't want to do the kit as well. Often in various communities, for whatever reason it is, people are put off from the idea that they don't actually want to know or hear the results, and they're worried about, they hear this word cancer and they think it's almost like a death sentence. But what we're trying to encourage people to do is to think about it almost like you would if you had diabetes or high blood pressure, is to get the diagnosis, and then hopefully it can be treated at that early stage. And if we can pick it up and find it early, then the likelihood of treatment is going to be more successful as well. And so it's that idea about early detection could potentially save your life.
Well, I mean, stick to the topic of early detection. So what's one thing about bowel cancer prevention which could save thousands of lives if people were to take action today?
I think one of the best things we can do to prevent bowel cancer or any kind of bowel disease is looking at our own health, our diet, our lifestyles. That has a massive impact on how we look after our bowels. What we eat and what we drink eventually goes into our bowels, and if we're eating a lot of unhealthy foods and drinks and not having a very good lifestyle, ultimately it's going to affect our bowels. There's a statistic out there that actually over 54% of bowel cancer cases can actually be prevented through making lifestyle changes. So making sure that we cut down on our red meat, processed foods, for example, making sure that we have enough fibre in our diet, making sure that we're not smoking, for example, making sure that we're exercising on a regular basis. All these kind of lifestyle changes, it's really important that we take ownership of our lives and of our health. And I think that's
using alcohol as well.
Yeah, alcohol, smoking, they're massive ones. And it's quite obvious in some ways from my point of view. What you eat and what you drink is ultimately going to affect your bowels. So if we can make sure that we understand that it's important to eat the right food and to not have all this processed food that we're having, that's obviously available in our society, then we may see a drop in bowel cancer rates. But at the moment we are seeing a lot of younger people particularly that are being developed with bowel cancer. So
that's what's really worrying, isn't it, that we're getting this shift, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. There's some research papers out there in the last 30 years that show that there's been a 22% increase in the number of young people, so those aged from 25 to 49 are developing bowel cancer, and they're saying that a lot of that is down to the food that we're eating. It's down to
diet, lifestyle,
yeah, exactly.
lack of
Environmental
exercise,
issues.
environmental issues, a number of things. So I think it's just trying to take those small steps. It's never too late to sort of change your diet and increase the amount of exercise you're doing. And if you're smoking, quit smoking. There's so many smoking cessation services out there. You can speak to your GP or your pharmacist if you're trying to quit. And in terms of healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, if you're finding that you've got a high BMI rate, then you can always tap into the local services which will help you and support you in trying to get your weight down. So there's lots of services out there, and it's always good to try to sort of find out what's available in your area.